Parshas Yitro, Shvi'i. The Aliyah opens up by telling us that Klal Yisrael actually saw the sounds and the flames and the sounds of the shofar and the smoking mountain that took place at Har Sinai. Now Rashi points out that this was an amazing miracle. They saw that which is only audible. Now Rashi also points out that the fact that the pasuk tells us that they all saw tells us that at this point in time nobody was blind. Everybody was able to see, and additionally Rashi tells us that there were no deaf people and there were no mute people because every single person was healed over at Har Sinai. Now, what Klal Yisrael witnessed caused them to be afraid. So the Psukim tell us that Klal Yisrael took a step back and they said to Moshe, please, this is too much having Hashem speak to us. We would rather that you speak to us because we're afraid that there's so much Kedusha, maybe we're going to die. And Moshe comforts them and he says, no, do not be afraid. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing this lebabur nasos eschem in order to exalt you amongst the other nations, and as well HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing this to instill fear within you, but for the purpose so that you should not come to sin. The Aliyah then continues where Hashem says to Moshe to tell Klal Yisrael, Atem re'isem ki mina shamayim dibarti aleichem. You saw that from Shemayim I spoke to you. And Rashi points out that this is in order to tell us that there's a big difference between when you hear something from somebody else versus if you actually see it yourself. Hashem is saying, you saw what happened at Har Sinai yourself. Therefore, there is no room for doubt in all that took place. After this, the Psukim go on to tell us that Hashem says, Lo sasen iti Elohei kesef Elohei zav, that you should not make any images of myself, not gods of silver and not gods of gold. Rashi points out that this is with regard to the kruvim, that the kruvim need to be made of gold and that there's only 2 kruvim. You cannot change that. Do not make them out of silver. Do not add on to the kruvim, and the kruvim are meant only to be in the Mishkan, in the Beis HaMikdash. Do not try to put them in your shuls, in your homes, etc. No. They're very specific. They have to be exactly how they are. Then the pasuk goes on to tell us that you need to have a mizbeach, and you're going to use that mizbeach for karbonos. And the parsha concludes with the halacha that when you're building the ramp for the mizbeach, it should be smooth, and it should not be steps going up. And the reason why the pasuk says is lo sigale ervascha alav, in order that your nakedness should not be revealed over those stones. And Rashi points out that what's going on, that if there are steps, the steps are wide, and that when a person would be taking those wide steps, it would appear, even though they're wearing pants, of course, but it would appear that their nakedness would be revealed in some type of way, and that would be humiliating to the stones. And Rashi said this is teaching us such an amazing lesson, teaching us a kal v'chomer. If there's such a halacha to care about the humiliation of the stones, then could you imagine alachas kama v'kama, how a person has to be so careful about humiliating somebody else who's created in the image of Hashem, who does care, who does feel it. We have to be so careful about the sensitivities and the feelings about our fellow Jew.